it's Megan. So 2 years ago, I quit domestic flying. So what that means is I do not fly within the country of Germany. I try to do this in all my types of traveling. So in my holiday traveling, but also my business traveling. So I'm really trying to reduce this amount of domestic and country flying. So in today's video, I really want to talk more about why this is important and why it makes such a difference when you're looking at your personal carbon footprint and how you can reduce your travel related emissions, and how that's not only a good thing to do as an individual, but also the philosophical reasons of why I've made that decision. So I am by no means perfect, and I don't think anybody is perfect when they're going along on their sustainability journey. I still fly, in my opinion, too much. As much as domestic flights, in my opinion, are a no-go, the ones that really produce the largest carbon footprint are really the long-haul flights, the ones that you're taking across the ocean that's like more than 10 hours. Well, to be honest, I do that quite a bit. I do that every 12 to 18 months because I live abroad in Germany and I want to go and see my family, you know, like at least once a year or once every 18 months. So hopping on a plane is one of the largest carbon activities that you could do as an individual. So once I kind of dug a little bit more into this and realized just how much carbon emissions are emitted just from a flight, short distance, long distance, depends on the travel amount of hours that you actually put into it. But once I realized just how much carbon is emitted in just that one activity, I really started to rethink, okay, how can I be more conscious about how I'm traveling, and how can I be more conscious about where I'm going, the choices that I'm making, even on my holiday. And I also realized that this one act was so devastating to the environment. I mean, for me personally, I have quite a small carbon footprint, but once I put together my personal carbon footprint, I was just like, oh my God, how could so much carbon emissions go to just one activity, which was my holiday time. And I think one of the kind of eye-opening experiences to me when I was thinking about this and kind of researching it more is it didn't matter how many less one-haul flights I made, or how much I tried to reduce other places in my life, like switching to renewable energy, not driving a car, becoming vegan, or these things. As much as I tried to reduce those everything, it did not seem to equivalent to the emissions and the carbon that was actually being produced from my consumption of flying. So short-term, long-haul flights, I mean, this still bothers me, of course, but I do think this was a big realization for me that if I really wanted to make an impact in my personal sustainability journey, I really needed to look at how I was spending my time on holidays and how I was contributing to transportation and how I was flying and what that impact was being to the environment. So here are just some facts. So transportation is responsible for about a quarter of the EU's total greenhouse gas emissions, and that causes everything from air pollution to noise pollution, and even impact on the local habitats where that transportation is navigating through. So as much as I believe it's important reducing your personal carbon footprint and thinking about it consciously, we have to realize that me individually is not the biggest problem that we have at this moment. So transportations of goods and services, the moving of that in large moving vans and big, huge lorry transportation across borders, freight travel, this is all much more impactful carbon emitting things, and this is from a business perspective. In a lot of ways, me as the individual does not have a lot of control over what those businesses decide to do and the amount of volume that they transport, the amount of fuel that they use in that transport, or how often they transport. But that doesn't mean that I can't do my part as a citizen. what can I do to make a difference? So like if we think about this like realm of transportation and the amount of carbon that is being emitted from it, how can I make a difference? Is I can consciously think about how I am choosing to travel on my daily basis, but also for my holiday time. This could also mean how I am choosing how to purchase and buy goods. For example, instead of buying something that is from a retailer all the way in the United States and like having it shipped here on a freight or even by plane and taking 3 or 4 weeks and all the carbon that's around that, like shipping, I could be more conscious about where I'm purchasing products and make sure that I'm purchasing my products as much as I possibly can within the European Union, or even more specifically, Germany. And this can also go for fruits and vegetables. Like think about how much we are transporting fruits or vegetables that don't even grow in our local area or that aren't in season in our local area all the way from other places. So these are kind of the things that I can actually control when we think of transportation and traveling and this type of context of things within my carbon footprint. I can control where I'm buying my produce, where I'm buying my products, and the transportation emissions that are affected and woven into that. But I can also really make a conscious decision about where I'm traveling and how often I'm traveling and using flights. No domestic flights, 100% no domestic flights for me, but long-term flights and how often I'm doing that. So as you can see in this chart, you can see that flights account for a large percentage of personal carbon emissions. So this chart also kind of leads into my recent obsession with getting into the European train system and trying to understand, okay, how can I use trains as much as possible to make domestic but also international train travel possible for my holidays. As we go into the next part of this video, I'm just going to give you some ideas on why I love to travel by train and why are some of the reasons why maybe you can think about traveling by train again from your own, if you have the ability to do it within your own personal world or where you are currently living. So why do I love traveling by train over flying? So the first one is definitely comfort and feeling of relaxation. I don't know about you, but I don't like this feeling of being tight and enclosed on the airplane and just kind of shuffle and feeling like you're on top of each other. I mean, planes just are not a fun place, but train travel really gives you a lot more openness. You can move around. To be honest, my body doesn't hurt as much after just a couple of hours. There's a lot more comfort associated with train travel. The next reason why I love trains is the scenic views. I don't know about you, but I highly recommend to make some train travel within the European Union, within Europe. I love taking the train. I've taken the train through Austria, absolutely gorgeous views outside my window. I've taken it through Switzerland and seeing the Alps through my window. Even just traveling through local Germany and seeing the beautiful rolling hills, the farm and everything. It's just, train travel just adds this beautiful scenery to the whole experience of travel. The next one I love to always be like part of my argument for trains is a lot less stress. I don't know about you, but when you go to the airport, it's like I gotta be there 2 to 3 hours before. Oh, my luggage arrive on time. I gotta check in on time. Oh, are we doing this? Are we doing that? Oh, I gotta go through security. Oh my gosh, I didn't put a plastic bag around my liquids. It's just like so stressful. And I mean, sometimes doing it sometimes is fine, but like doing it all the time, it doesn't really, as much as I've done it, it's not enjoyable. So trains is just a different experience. Like I was saying, it's much more relaxed, but it's just a lot less stress. You don't have to worry about all these little things that go into flight travel. So there's a lot of benefits in just, enjoying your holiday and jumping on the train. It takes a little bit longer, but you just have a lot better like mental health, happiness, and a lot of reduced stress. So the last and my favorite is train travel is really one of the better eco-friendly options. And so if you are looking for ways to reduce your personal carbon footprint, trains, if they're available in your local area, trains are a great option to consciously think about how to reduce the carbon footprint associated with your travel, with your holidays, how you are moving and transporting yourself from point A to point B. For the European Union to be meeting these 2050 climate goals, reducing the transportation carbon emissions in this sector is really, really important for them. So what we're seeing in the European Union, and what I'm personally really excited about, is we're seeing a lot of money and resources pushed into international train travel, because this has always been a sore point in the European area. So we're starting to see a lot more international train opportunities really pop up. So for example, I'm based here in Berlin. I can take an overnight train to Copenhagen, to the Netherlands. I can go to Belgium. I can go to the UK. Soon I should be also able to go to Barcelona. I can go to Paris. I can go to Austria. I can go to Slovenia. I can go to Italy. There's just a lot of places, especially a lot of places that you probably want to travel to anyway, that are completely accessible by international train travel now. And this is just going to start getting better and better and better because of the influence and money that the European Union is kind of pushing into this. So I'm really excited to see how train travel just develops over the next couple of years, and I'm really excited about using it myself. One, because I'm a little too obsessed with trains, but also because it's a really important thing to me to be reducing that piece of my carbon footprint, trying to make all my holiday and all my transportation as low carbon as I possibly can, so that when I do fly long haul international to visit my family in the United States, I can feel a little bit more consciously happy about it. So have you traveled in Europe by train? What were kind of your favorite routes? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear more about your train journeys.